What's up, guys? So, my name is Brandon, back, Kiddo Crew. Some of you guys know me. I'm going to talk a little bit about souping Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns is probably the newest codex that's come out. And recently, I've been playing a lot of games with a half Death Guard, half Night Lords list, which is what you see in the background here. This is against a White Scars opponent with a whole lot of Blade Guard. And I'm pretty sure I won this matchup, but it was uphill slug, and I had a couple things go my way that I really needed it to do. So I'm still tuning the list and trying it out. So check it out. Comment below what you think of it. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about Souping Thousand Suns, what you gain from it, what you lose from it, and my overall thoughts on it. So TLDR, I don't think you need to swoop Thousand Suns. I think if you go Thousand Suns, you need to go full hard Thousand Suns. The biggest reason why is caps. Caps is what makes Thousand Sun psychic powers worth it. Doing the additional D3 damage, extending the range, making sure it's undeniable, being able to get a CP for a unit that's sitting on a backfield objective every game. That's really where Thousand Suns are shining through, in my opinion. You don't gain enough from the other factions for 1,000 Suns. The only real considerations that you would want to go are very contradictory to what 1,000 Suns want to do, because it fills that gap. 1,000 Suns doesn't have a jump pack unit to go in and clear stuff off. It doesn't have a witches unit. As cool as Zangors are, they don't kill stuff like witches kill stuff. They do have a 5-up invul, that's fine. Witches have a 4-up invul. Go figure. But the trade-off is just too much for it, for the mobility. The fire base that the Thousand Suns provide isn't from behind a wall. They don't have great artillery. They're very much a grind down what's in front of them army, and they can definitely win a war of attrition. Like, even Custodes, who are supposed to be the toughest thing in the game, can't stand up to 12, 15 mortal wounds a turn that or more that Thousand Suns can throw out. But the biggest thing about those wounds is they are the front of the army just grinding it down from front to back. They don't have a great way to deal with a couple of things that are super prevalent in the meta right now. One of those things being bodyguard, which this game I'm taking full use to keep my characters safe from all of his blade guard. And even though he smashes all of them into my home objective, the Death Shroud Turnwainers just start chopping them down as they come, because of the character support there. So that's one big thing. The other thing is that their mobility is not great. So if you're going to soup something in, you need something that's mobile, because outside of the new airplane Helldrake, they don't have a lot of mobility. Forge World Dreadnoughts are doing Forge World Dreadnought things. I think that the Contemptor Dread with AP 1, Strength 7, and ignoring damage reduction is amazing. And if you're not taking the Orrery when you have a Contemptor Dread, that you're missing out on a lot of its damage. It just doesn't seem worth it in any sense of it. And I'm playing these soup lists. This list is 1,000 points Night Lords, 1,000 points Death Guard, almost exactly. I think it's 997 and 1,003. But it's really close to split exactly down the middle. And I play the Night Lords. I love my Night Lords. I don't know if I would take 1,000 Suns and Night Lords ever, because the Death Guard resilience is just way better. It's just completely there. Not only that, but the unsituational bodyguard is super big. I think 1,000 Suns got shafted with the lack of bodyguard with their Terminators. That's just my opinion. The other thing that you lose out on is a lot of your ability to do the psychic secondaries. And I'm not saying it's not doable. It just becomes a lot harder to do when you have half your army not able to do it. The psychic secondaries aren't guaranteed, and unless they have a single Psyker and you take Wrath of Magnus and kill 3 models a turn, it's still not guaranteed. And then if you go into an Ultra Elite list, you need to be killing 2 or 3 models a turn and hope that they don't have any Psychic in return to really do damage. And you really need to lean into it pretty hard. The souping, I'm not sure if I'm going to be trying souping at all. I am going to be trying a Thousand Suns into Sisters matchup, which is going to be an uphill battle. And that's where I stand with that. The different legions that you could soup in are one Death Guard, which just does the resilience thing super well. Unfortunately, Thousand Suns big, nice units are very high pointed cost. So, where in this list that you're seeing before you, I have a brick of this 10 Terminators in the corner that literally do nothing all game. They just sit here and be like, don't come over here, this is mine. And the 2 Plagueburst Crawlers are my while we stands for this game, which is what helped me win, because you just can't come and touch them at all. Where if this was souped with Thousand Suns, it would be even 5-man Terminator bricks are base 200 points, and then you have to be using those guys to be able to do anything, because it's such a big part of your army. Yes, I have 300 points sitting here once, but I can't have 3 times 5 Terminators sitting there doing nothing. That would be like the other DST that soaked up all those Blade Guard vets doing nothing. The other thing I think that Thousand Suns are super lacking right now is any sort of fight mechanic. They don't have a fight first. They don't have a fight last. They don't have a fight. They don't even have great combat. Even though the Terminators got damage 2, that's great. They needed that to even be a contestant. If they didn't have damage 2, I would not even consider them at all. You hear a little bit of the game in the background, so it's fine. With so much damage reduction out there, that's really rough. I like the Kopeshas, and I love the Terminators. I just don't see anything that you gain from the different legions that's really worth it. Because you lose out on your caps, you lose out on the utility and functionality of your Psychic phase, which is what you're taking Thousand Suns to do anyway. So if you nerf your Psychic ability, which is their thing, why are you taking Thousand Suns at all? Death Guard are still resilient. They still do -1 damage. They still stand there on points and score points all game long. This isn't even like my better attuned list, but these DSTs sit there like all game long and are immune to all his shooting. He's got 2 squads of Eradicators that he just can't pump into anything of value. And then they bounce off the Bloat Drone of all things. So those guys are really, really tough. And the Thousand Suns don't provide that toughness. They add a lot of damage, but in a trading war, it's coming at a very expensive price. It's coming at a very high point price to be able to do that. And then if you soup in a patrol of Thousand Suns, because you're not going to be running a battalion of it, there's no point of running flame icons. There's no point in really running any psychic powers that you don't need on top of it. There's not a lot of the utility that you need, and it just nerfs Thousand Suns so much. Where the contagion range for Death Guard are a boon, and just crank everything they do just up a little bit more. Wounding even Marines on 2s with those scything the scythes and stuff. That's great. That's amazing. But they function at a base value even without the -1 toughness, even without the special contagions, even with Curse of the Leper being on a 5-up. That's fine as long as they cast on a 7 and get 2 dice at 3 mortal wounds. That kills a Marine and a half, which is all you can really ask for out of a spell. So they still do their thing from a functionality standpoint, and without caps, I don't see Thousand Suns doing enough at all. I think Thousand Suns are definitely going to be leaning on their movement shenanigans, their select a terrain piece and make a unit slow down from that. That unit has -2 to move or advance or whatever the case is. All of those tricks, you're really just going to want to keep that 18-20 inch bubble away from your opponent, which sounds really tough because any of the armies that are wanting to come up and slap you have ways to come up and slap you. White Scars. Okay, cool. You take 2 off the advance. So I roll a 3, and my jump pack vets do 13-inch move and then charge instead of a 15-inch move. You still got to be 20 inches away for that to matter. If you're within 18, you're charged. You are getting charged. And everything has something like that. Drukhari have Blood Brides for +1 to their charges. Any of the real combat armies have a good delivery mechanism. Any of the ones that are for consideration. And combat armies live and die by their delivery systems, and Thousand Sons don't have enough to shut that down. Death Guard say, okay, we're not going to be able to shut down the delivery system, but when you get there, we're going to hit you first. We're going to be so durable that you bounce and we kill you. Thousand Sons don't have that. They don't have that from the base stat line. And I don't see a reason to add in Thousand Sons to anything, especially since we cannot cross-faction cast anymore. There's no way for us to put in a Thousand Sons detachment and have them do all the psychic buffs on the rest of the units. They even have different names. So Presage is not Prescience anymore, and they specifically did that so that if you do soup, you can Prescience with your Word Bear's Sorcerer onto a unit, and then you could Presage onto your Thousand Sons unit. They're 2 different spells. They do literally the same thing, but because they have 2 different names, you can cast them both if you soup. That's just not going to be a thing. You don't need it. Especially with caps boosting the one thing that Thousand Sons are bringing, you don't need the cross division. If you're going to go for something combating, Word Bearers, like there's no point in bringing Word Bearers. They don't boost any of your demon engines because everything is Legion locked. Black Legion have some tricks with objectives, but they don't have anything to keep you away. They don't have any specific great combat units. They don't have any specific way to boost it. Iron Warriors can give you a great fire base, but Thousand Sons already have an amazing fire base already. And not only that, but they do more mortal wounds than even decimators. And if anyone knows me, I love my decimators. They don't need them. They just smite. Does this utility power I want have a thing? No? Cool, smite. D3 mortal wounds. Next unit. Does this utility power I have do a thing? No? Cool, smite. Even just accidentally, I was throwing out 10, 12 mortal wounds in the couple games I've played so far. It's a ton. But it's that grind. It's the things in front. Sisters are going to be throwing rhinos at this. Drukhari are going to be throwing raiders at this just to soak it up. Marines are probably just going to take it and then res their models up with their apothecary, who's going to be sitting behind them the whole time. Zeech's Firestorm relic is probably going to be super key there. And that's that. Alpha Legion gives absolutely nothing. Thousand Sons already have access to redeploy, have a better Auspex scan. They have a sniping character with the Combi Bolter Terminator Lord, which is neat, and I love it in concept, but it just doesn't do enough. And then guaranteeing explosions. You don't really want to explode it if you're just going to be grinding whatever's closest. Night Lords provide the same thing that they provide to everyone. They provide a lot of mobility. They provide some utility. They do some good Warp Talent shenanigans. And they can keep you in combat, which is why I think Night Lords are probably the best soup faction because of the keeping people in combat ability. Emperor's Children have better combat guarantee with Honor the Prince carrying that faction super hard. Their fire support that they have is also very mobile. So if you had Thousand Sons and Emperor's Children, I guess you could just be chucking Emperor's Children stuff front all game long, and then use Thousand Sons to sit in the back, generate CP, and perform actions, which just sounds really bad. Then why would you take Thousand Sons doing that at all? I don't know. That just feels really bad to me. World Eaters, like I said, just be eating combat characters, combat squads at your opponent while your Thousand Sons are doing their thing. Even thematically, that doesn't pan out super great, because Khorne already has to like threat overload, and if your Thousand Sons are just gonna sit in the back, be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna shoot the Khorne and I'm gonna charge the Thousand Sons. Good talk. Which is also the same problem with souping Thousand Sons and Death Guard. Death Guard -1 damage. All right, cool. I'm gonna put all my Melta that doesn't care about that, or my 1 damage stuff into the Death Guard stuff, and then all my 2 damage stuff that it goes through all its dust is just going to go into Thousand Sun stuff and melt all that. So it makes target selection for opponents super easy. I don't think there's a Legion that I haven't talked about. The only other thing that Black Legion can provide is Abaddon, which is super cool, but if you want a slap character, you just go Magnus. Magnus is the slap character right now, which is really unfortunate because all of the combat relics for Thousand Sons are just terrible. Like, you're better off taking a Kopesh and maybe another Warlord trait of some sort, if you can. It's really bad. All the staffs go down to AP 0. Double strength if you're against a Psyker, which you don't like. You're gonna be nuking Psykers off the board anyway. It's just not interesting. None of the combat, none of the pistols are great. The only time I think the pistols would be even interesting is if you were gonna give an Espering Sorcerer one, and then increase the number of shots with the CP with a brick of rubrics. But even then, that just adds 10 shots to a squad, which I also don't think is very interesting. It's just super rough. Everything is just like a little bit shy of being absolutely amazing. Adding 1 shot, Adding 2 shots, making stuff rapid fire +1 sounds more interesting to me. But that's my opinion on those. I don't know if you lose out on the ability for to use secondaries from a codex. I haven't looked into that. I probably should have before I started this video. But that's okay. Even if you can keep them, the psychic secondaries outside of like Wrath of Magnus and situational games where they only have 1 psyker is not super interesting. You're gonna be devoting a tenth of your Thousand Sons detachment just to that 1 character trying to do actions. It's not a thing. It should not be a thing. Shouldn't be a thing. So yeah. Also, Mutalithic Vortex Beast, I think it's super cool. He's pretty cheap. 145, good wounds, invul. Heals D3 a turn, which is pretty nice. I think the only contest between that is the Mauler Fiend, even though it's not super amazing. Being able to ignore modifiers for the charge can be super clutch. So that's probably our best bet, is to be running a Mauler Fiend or 2. I'm probably going to be playing none because I don't like them. They're really big targets, and you don't want them sitting as a counter charge or to be charging stuff mid-board, because they don't even kill a bunch of witches and then they die to anything. So, also got nerfed. The Lasher Tendrils got nerfed to 1 damage. So if you go into Marines, you kill like 3 Marines. Hitting at 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. Even if you hit 4 times, you lose 1 wound. 3. So kill 3 Marines. great. Then he dies. 2, combat squad coming up, Blade Guard veterans. And then if they are Blade Guard veterans or anything with a 4-up, you kill 1, maybe 2. And then they kill you on the return. He's just not resilient enough. Not enough punch, not enough resilience. So, we'll see how these test games go. I'm really interested to see how these games develop. I don't think that many Thousand Suns players are going to be looking at their list feeling like they have enough combat potential. I think they're going to be looking more at ways to keep the opponent at bay, to keep everyone at that 20 to 30 inch range. And I say that because you can extend any of your squads, anything with a proper gun at least, range by 6 inches. Rapid fire and heavy weapons can be extended by 6 inches. So all your Terminators with 24 inch range, 30 inch range. Now you're talking. Now you can shoot down the map. And I also think that having a Contemptor Dread, at least a Contemptor Dread, is going to be amazing. Give it presage, reroll 1s, so it's hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and then you can ignore negative modifiers. That just nukes Bellicor. It nukes it nukes other dreadnoughts because you get through the -1 damage, and nukes Death Guard. Well, Death Guard's already a pretty good matchup for us, but that's the thought process. That's where I'm at with that. So, this game goes on, and these Warp Talons survive, like, amazingly so. They boss their 5-up intervals and take that point and help me win this game pretty solidly. That's where I'm capping off. Let me know what you think, because everything that I've looked into, every different aspect of what I gain versus what you lose for all of my notes that I'm taking is just not, it doesn't seem that Souping Thousand Suns is worth it at all. In any way, shape, or form. And I'm talking any of the different playstyles that you have. You want to shoot back and have a firing base? Cool. Then you don't take Thousand Suns for that. You take something that has double shooting. You take Iron Warriors. You take even Death Guard with more PBCs. You take something else. Do the Death Star of Invincibility for the quote-unquote mean list from SM Battle Reports for Word Bearers. And you have more DACA. Combat is severely lacking in this book. The Zanger Enlightened and the Chaos Spawn are probably the most interesting options. The Chaos Spawn especially, in my opinion. But then again, you have to be careful where you send them, because send them into Incubi and they get Phyl Acid, they just all die. Send them into DST, they die. It's a pretty unique situation there. So, we will see how it unfolds. I bought some Thousand Suns. I plan on playing them a lot. And I want to see where the meta takes them. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball on getting this video out. Had a lot of things go on in real life that slowed me down. And hobby lags, I think. So bear with me. And until next time, let me know what you think. Give me your comments. Hit me up.